Hi friends, Tracy here from the Sewing Channel. Welcome back, and if you're new here, welcome. Now there's no doubt that I do like making a beautiful quilt, but they take a long time. Sometimes you just need a quick fix project to get you through. Because I'm going to be a grandma soon, I've been thinking of different projects that I could make for my new granddaughter that's coming. And when I first thought of this project, I thought, oh, surely it's been done already. So I went to the internet and I searched and I searched and I searched. I couldn't find one quilt block memory game. It seems like it would be the ultimate project to make for quilters. So I decided to come up with my own quilt block memory game. Before we get started, there's a few things you should know. I recently put out a tutorial on how to make this magic tote bag with only 2 seams. You will have to click that video to know how to make this bag to go with your quilt block game. I'm going to give you the measurements right now, and then you can go ahead and click the link in the top right hand corner here to access that video. Here's the measurements for this tiny 2-seam magic tote bag. 2 pieces of nylon strap at 15 3/4 inches in length. For the bottom part of this bag, 1 piece of fabric 16 inches this way and 6 inches up and down. For the top portion of the bag, 17 inches in length and 5 inches up and down. Enough talking already. Let's get busy making these adorable quilt blocks for our memory game. Each block ends up being 5 by 5 in the end. Now you can make your block whatever size you'd like it. You can make it really big, or you can even make them tinier. I did not want to go any tinier than this because it's hard for me to sew the little corner pieces, and you'll see that as we get along in the tutorial. You will need 10 different types of fabric because you're going to double those up and make those identical. Here's just an example of some other fabrics that I could have used, but you can use any fabric you want. Somehow it ended up being a food theme. I'm not sure how. The first thing you're going to do is cut out your picture for the front of your quilt block. You need 20 pieces at 5 inches by 5 inches. Make sure that everybody has a match. Next, you will need to cut out 20 of your back fabric. These measure 7 inches by 7 inches squared. I suggest that you pick a really busy pattern for the back. That way they all kind of blend together when they're all turned over and they all look identical. You will need 20 pieces of batting measuring 6.5 inches by 6.5 inches. Take all your back fabric and just set it aside for now. The first thing you're going to do is take your batting and your picture, and you're going to just sort of center it, just like that. I do think that these look really cute quilted. I did free motion quilt all of my little quilt blocks. You really don't have to quilt them if you don't feel comfortable doing it. If you don't feel comfortable quilting any lines within this picture, you can just skip the quilting part and go right to the trimming part. Once you have your 5 by 5 picture on top of your batting, you're then going to take it over to the sewing machine just like it is right here. Just setting on there, just like that. And you're going to free motion quilt just like it is with no backing on it. So all your stitches are going to be in the inside. For this step right here, you can totally let your artistic ability shine. I am free motion quilting some pilgrim hats on my little turkey quilt block. On the right hand side of your screen, if you look closely, you can see a heart inside the Minnie Mouse and some swirls. Here on the monkeys, I did some starbursts. And on the fish there, I just did some simple echoing. On the donuts, I did some swirlies. And for the pepperoni pizza, some circles, of course, and just some random trails for the ants and some little swirls for the yellow polka dot. So anything goes. The next step is to cut all of the excess batting off of our quilt block. I am making sure that mine square up at 5 inches by 5 inches. I always get questions about the hook that is on my clear ruler right here. Go ahead and click the link in the top right-hand corner or check on my home page of my channel to find the video 5 Odd Sewing Tools. That video explains it all. This is what you should have so far. Next, we are going to take it over to the ironing board and iron up all of our blocks. The next step is to take your backing fabric, which should be approximately 7 inches by 7 inches squared. Lay it wrong side up on your ironing board and then place your quilted block on top of it right in the center, being sure that there is approximately 1 inch on every single side, just like you see me measuring here. After you are happy with the placement right in the center of that 7 by 7 squared backing, you're going to take a glue stick and just tack down with some glue that quilt block to the backing. The next step, we're going to take each side, fold it up so that it butts up right against that quilted block part, and then you're going to iron a crease right along the side there. And then you're going to turn it. We're going to fold it up again, and like on the left there, you're going to fold that tab up and put a weight down on it so you can nice and easily get the iron in there without it popping back up. And then you'll iron over where I put the weight and then put the weight right back on it. Turn, and again just fold it right up to the edge of that turkey fabric and put the weight on, and then iron it out. And then you're going to iron where the weight is, and then we're going to turn again, and we're going to do the other side, and this one we're just going to lift both of them up and put a nice crease right there. After this ironing step, I found it helpful to lay one of my rulers over top of the block. It just helped keep everything flat until I was ready for the next step. Next, find your 45-degree angle on your cutting mat, and you're going to take your block that you just ironed, the edge of it, line it up directly on that 45-degree angle. The point should be right pointing at an intersection right there. So the corner point of your block should be pointing toward a line on your cutting mat. We are going to cut off a 1/2 inch tip off of the corner of this block, right along the edge there. The only thing you need to keep an eye out for here is that your side of your block is right along that 45-degree angle on your cutting mat. You should have a funny looking cut piece and then 1 little or 2 little tiny pieces like that. If you open up your corners and they don't look like Batman's head, then you did it wrong. Go ahead and do the other 3 corners and the rest of your 20 blocks as well. If you end up making this quilt block memory game, please go to Instagram and post a picture of it on your Instagram, but also add the hashtag #TheSewingChannel, and I will get alerted to it, and I can click on it and actually go see your blocks. So far, so good on this block. This is what you should have on all 4 corners. Next, we're going to take that backing and put right sides together on each of those corners, and we're going to sew those up. Now, you need to make sure that they are really nice and even. Now, I only utilize 1 pin during this whole time because I take it out as I'm sewing and then go to the next one. Once everything is pinned nice and evenly matching up, then you're going to take it to your sewing machine right where I'm pointing and do a back stitch right there. Go down to that point. You see where I'm pointing right there? That's the line, the crease that we initially put in. You're going to stop there and pivot. And then you're going to go up at that angle and you're going to sew right off of the fabric. Don't worry about back stitching there. Here, I'll demonstrate here on my sewing machine. Back stitch there at the beginning, and then go to that where that V is, the bottom of the V essentially, and you're going to do about a 1/4 inch seam allowance here. You pivot and then turn and then go and sew right off the edge of your fabric. This is what it should look like right here. And now I'm going to take my pin out and I'm going to go to the next corner. I'm going to match everything up again, and then I'm going to pin it, and then I'm going to start at that seam again and back stitch, go down to that creased mark, stop, pivot, and then sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance right off of that fabric. I really do like this technique for mitered corners when you're using the back fabric to do the binding. Let me know what you think down in the comments. Have you ever seen it before, and have you used it before? Also, I just remembered on that Instagram hashtag the sewing channel, you can post any picture you want of anything that you've ever made off of my channel. It does not have to be just these blocks. If you go over to your Instagram and you just type in hashtag the sewing channel, a bunch of pictures will come up of items that people have sewn from my channel and then posted with that hashtag. It's really kind of neat for me to see the stuff that you guys actually do. I guess you could say it really does encourage me to keep on going and keep on making these videos. This is what you should have so far. It's kind of like a little basket almost. But what you're going to do is just poke those corners from the batting, the quilt block part, up through the backing corner area. And just push it through and make sure everything is nice and flat. Now, I do utilize a pokey tool here, and I just take it very lightly and push out the corners. And what you really have to make sure here is that the batting quilted block part is nice and flush within that corner. Once you're comfortable with that laying in there, you're going to go ahead and fold down where we made that initial crease. You're going to shove everything back under and in. Now, when you get to the corner part, you can grab that pokey tool and actually shove that corner part area in there nice too. Just like you see me do here, I'm folding it up and over, and then I'm taking a hot iron to it. You definitely want to put the hot iron to it. It'll make everything lay really nice. I was thinking, how cute would these blocks be if we appliqued them as well, making doubles that way? Or we could make actual quilt blocks like 4 patches and such, and do different color combinations to make sure that we had doubles, and we could also do the memory game that way. There are truly so many different possibilities for this game. Let me know down in the comments what ideas you guys have. So once you have everything ironed just like you want it, you're going to again put your ruler on top of it so that everything cools nice and flat. I didn't show you this next step on my sewing machine, but what you're going to do is take it to the sewing machine and sew a top stitch around the entire block. Be sure to be consistent with every single block when you do your top stitching, because remember, the game player will be able to see the back of the block, and we want them all to look identical. Oh my word, this game is hard. Yes, pizza. Hey, that pizza looks pretty good for being fabric. Until next time on the sewing channel, take care.